Hey people, my name is Zara, and my story is creepy. The thing is, my dad died at war. We got that kind of information, but not everything they say is true. My dad wasn't ranked very high in the military. He was just a mercenary. He earned a living by defending the country's borders. The matter was, there weren't many jobs in our town. Therefore, boys chose either the army or to work in a factory. But the factory working conditions were terrible. Dad decided to join the army to feed me, Mom, and my two twin brothers. By the way, he also wanted to live very well, so he found all of his sport awards. He was a master of sport and athletics when he was young, so he got recruited into the army. Well, the army service was smooth and prestigious up to a certain moment. Soldiers got decent money. That's why Mom could raise us with no worries. Maybe she would get a job. But there wasn't enough time for that. It wasn't the right time. The twins were too little. As for me, I was only in first grade. Suddenly, the war broke out. It didn't even start at our territory. It started in the country nearby, but the borders were quickly closed. All men, from 18 to 50 years old, were sent to the front lines. They were not to let fighters cross the border lines and attack civilians. As for my dad, he, as a border guard, was almost at the front. Fighters rarely came to the borders. They did it when they tried smuggling. Of course, we were very nervous. Dad called us back from the border every night and told us everything was quiet. My mom always waited for his call. She didn't put down the phone and didn't go to bed until she heard my dad's voice. Sure, we heard about the news about the wounded and the dead. Besides, we knew these people. Our neighbor's son was severely wounded. The grandpa from the family on the opposite street was killed. He mustn't have taken part in this chaos, but he decided to do it. That's the result. It's a tragedy. The situation got worse. It was very scary to watch the news. What's worse? Dad stopped calling every day. He said that he could not always catch the net, so Mom had to wait for a call longer. Half of my mom's hair turned gray. She worried a lot. The twins and I tried not to leave home because the streets were like one big funeral procession. It's pretty terrible, actually. At the end of August, a man in a military uniform came to us. I already had to go to school. Dad hadn't called for a week. By the way, there wasn't any news from the border, so Mom turned totally gray when she saw this soldier. As for me, I quickly took my brothers to their room and closed the door. Then I went to support Mom. The soldier gave my mom some money and said that my father was killed. It looked as simple as a report. Money is a compensation for the loss of the breadwinner. Mom stood up, stretched out like a stick, threw money at his face, and told him to get out of our house. I was just standing. I didn't get what was happening. I thought it was a bad movie that would end soon. In fact, Dad would come back home. Mom had just lain and howled in her room for 2 days. I picked up the money and put it into the box on the closet. I got that we should have something for living if Dad's dead. Then, I took care of the boys. Besides, I was getting ready for second grade. But 2 days later, Mom got up, washed herself, and became as she was. She behaved as if nothing had happened. She even smiled at the twins and praised me. So I asked her about the change in her behavior. She said that she saw Dad in her dream and that he's alive. 5 years. 5 years have passed since we were informed of my dad's death. Mom kept saying Dad was alive. I didn't deny it because I knew it was a kind of self-deception for her. At least, it kept her in mind. I studied and in the evenings washed dishes in the dining room for $1. Mom also worked as a seller in the mall. Even the twins tried to help. They picked up bottles and took them somewhere. We didn't have enough money, but at least we didn't starve. Moreover, I took leftovers from the plates and put them into sacks. Then, I took food home. Yeah, maybe it's not nice, but we also had vegetables and meat. I didn't hope for anything. I wanted to finish 9th grade and go to college. I wanted to be a cook. I would continue taking food while studying. I was very afraid that I would have to starve. The boys got older. Most of our money was spent on their clothes. The rest were for their school stuff, and a little for us. Did I want Dad to be alive? Sure, but I'm afraid. The reason wasn't because I loved him. I remember the days when we had money and food. I miss them even more than my dad. It's because I didn't see him often, but I saw money every day. As for Mom, she talked to his photo in her room. She also didn't let us say that he's dead. She was still waiting for him. One day, I was walking home from school. All of a sudden, a rotten old man called me from the bench. He said he'd waited so long. He was afraid not to see me again. I got his words. Despite his muttering, he was trying to say that he was my lost dad. So I turned away and silently went home. I just didn't know how to react. My distressed mom picked up that old man. In fact, it was my lost dad. Mom washed and fed him. So he had been in prison for 5 years. But now he's free. However, that man was sick and crippled. Everyone was happy. Mom was crying from happiness all the time. As for me, I was thinking about money. It wasn't enough for the treatment of my dad. Please comment about what you would do in my place. Like it if you want to support us. And remember, hope helps to undergo the darkness in life.